I just watched Border 2 and these are my honest thoughts. First things first, credit where it's due, I'm gonna talk about the positives. This is clearly a well-made film, all around, not just from the perspective of visuals or technicalities, but also from the perspective of characters. They've really put in a lot of time to let us, the audience, know about the characters in the first half. You clearly spend a lot of time with them in their journey, so that when the actual payoff happens in the second half, it works to some extent. You actually care for these characters because you've been through their lives for a good amount of time. Another thing that I really liked in the film is the fact that despite some shoddy VFX and a couple of not so well edited sequences, this is in fact a good looking film. Like, they have clearly put in a lot of money into the production, and there is one fight scene in the trenches in the second half towards the end which I quite liked. Another thing that really works in favor of the film is the acting and the performances. All of the actors do a solid job, and what's great is Varun Dhawan actually gives a really good performance. I've always thought that he was actor who has been overhated when you look at his filmography, and he really does a good job here, and I quite like this performance. But besides that, all of the actors, Diljit Dosanjh, Sunny Deol and everyone else really do a good job. It is throughout a well acted film. But this is my main issue with the movie. I found it extremely predictable, very uninvolving, especially in the second half, and most of the payoff doesn't really give you that high. And moreover, the film is 3 hours 19 minutes long, which is very long for a film like this. The film doesn't really revolve on the plot, or it doesn't really revolve around what exactly happened in the Indo-Pak War of 1971 from the perspective of giving you information about what actually happened. The film is very much driven by its sentiment. It has long stretches of soldiers giving long speeches about country, about Desh Bhakti and patriotism, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that you really find it hard to hold on to something from a narrative perspective that lets you flow with the film. There are a lot of sequences in the film that feel like they could have easily been chopped off, and there are some sequences that really hit you in the moment, but in the overarching narrative, when you look at them, they don't really work. This is a film that could have used a better edit, and with a crisp 2:15 or 2:30 runtime, this could actually have been way better, especially with the amount of money that has been put into the production, which is you can clearly see on the screen. Now, I also think the film has a lot of issues in terms of its tonality. The film is constantly aiming for different kind of things. One scene is heavily emotional, the other scene is light-hearted. One scene is this chest-thumping patriotism, the other scene is gritty, realistic warfare. So the film almost cannot decide what it wants to do and ends up doing everything, and that is the biggest issue. You don't feel like there is a clear through line which you can hold on to for the entirety of its runtime, and that is really why the film did not work for me in its entirety. There are bits and pieces of the film that are really appreciable, but in an overall sense, it just did not work for me. But I'm really curious to know if the film worked for you. I'm very interested to see your take on this. So comment down below and let me know what you thought of Border 2 and how it compares to the original. Did it make you feel nostalgic, though there are not really any direct connections to that film? Yeah, just let me know. Thank you so much for watching Flash Flick Reviews, a safe space for cinema nerds. Subscribe for more such content, and I'll see you again.